I've had a few questions on this generator, and I thought I'd show you. I got to make another one, and I'll give you some of the machining that's involved here. This is the generator, and it's made out of a 1.5 inch cast iron pipe coupling, and I just made the end caps. So we'll run you through this, and you can see how some of the parts are made. The first thing I have to do is smooth up the outside of this coupling. I'm not going to remove the threads. They can stay in there because the object is to mount this generator inside that coupling. And as you can see, there's plenty of room. So I'm going to put this on the lathe. We'll smooth it up, and then I'll show you the second step. I'm also going to face both ends off, and the dimension really doesn't matter. Just smooth it up and face off both ends. Okay, so I've faced off this side. I've smoothed up the outside to what I call a paintable finish, and now I'm going to unscrew it, and I got to face the other side. This isn't faced now, so that's true. So I'm going to screw it on here, and I'll show you something. This is, because it's cheap made, it's way the heck out of alignment. The threads aren't true. So all I'll do is I'll take this off. Take the nipple out of there and just put this right directly in the chuck, and it should run true then. There. Now I can face off the other side. That's it. It's all finished. The next part is the legs that it sits on. So this is some 12L14 that I bought for that. It's 3/8 thick by 1 inch. And these things turn out to be exactly 3 inches long. So I'm going to cut off 2 pieces 3 inches long. We've got the curve part done, so now what we're going to do, I'm just going to lop these corners off to cut down on the machining. Just saw those off, so I'll mark those. Oop. Take it over the saw and saw it off. So the next operation is I'm just going to mill down the flat where the bolt goes into it to get rid of some more material, and then I'm just going to cut a little curve on here. So we'll start doing the flat part first. The other side. Now I'm going to silver braze the legs on this coupling. And most of you are familiar with this. So we'll just make it quick. Got a shim to hold 1/16 inch back from the front. I'm going to cut a piece of silver solder here. Drop it right down in there. Heat her up. See that silver starting to flow. Gotta get quite a bit higher. I think we got it. So the next step on this piece is I'm going to remove this part here and create the flange over there, which is about 500 thousandths. And I've already done the stub. So we'll put this in the chuck and get that part done. 520 for about this depth here. And I'll have to measure that. I haven't measured it yet, but we'll set up the 520 first. There's 520. I'll set the stop. This doesn't have to be that accurate. It's only for looks. So if you did it 540, it wouldn't even matter. But I try to keep things somewhat alike. So now I've got this rough to here, and what I'm going to do is put the curve on there, and that will do with a ball cutting tool, and I'll have to set that up. Come on. We're going to try to cut that there. I'm going to have to get another tool, but this can start it. So as I said before, I have to change the tool to finish that off. This tool I had made originally to make these little small governor balls. And it's great for doing that. I can do them in one pass. But in order to do this, I have to run the lathe backwards, turn this, put a different bit in there and go for the other side. And it takes 2 passes to get that finished. So I redesigned the tool so that I can do it in one shot. And this is what I came up with. It works much better. Okay, you can take that. I'm going to secure this down. Let's see if it's in the right area here. Looking good. I think that's going to work. We'll just finish it off here with a good paintable finish. Just got to get a good mark on this, and then we're going to take it over to the saw and saw it off. I want to make sure that this flange is pretty straight. So now we got it all faced off, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoop the middle out. So I have to get the other tool back on there, the radius tool, and I'll take that out. That's 2 thousandths. Should just about slide right in there now. Perfect, see? The back part of this, cut the notches out of it. And what we're going for is this. So what I've done is I've set up a stop for this side, and on this side I'm using the 0 on the DRO, and you could lay it out with bluing and do the same thing, but because I have the DRO I use it. So we'll get a cut on this. Okay. Let's try it right about there. Okay. After cutting the notches in the side, I decided that this was a little too thick in here, so we put it back in the lathe and scooped out a little more of the inside and made it a little more delicate looking. Only for aesthetics, but that's the finished part right there. Okay, the next operation is I'm going to make this front plate for the generator. And you notice that's just a square one, it's not rounded at all, and I'll just round the ends off with a file. But it's out of the same material. And the reason that's different is because of this clutch in here. It has to be a lot shorter. I didn't have quite enough room for the clutch. So, okay. A couple of bolts to put it together with. Pulling around. And when I start here, I start light. Got 700 thousandths, so we can take off 75, so that means now we're going to transfer the holes from this jig onto this, and I've already done two. And what I normally do is when I drill holes in a jig, I make them a certain depth. These are exactly 1/4 inch. And I have little pins that fit in there. Let me show you one. That's like 20 thousandths longer. There's the pin sticking out there. That goes right in that hole. There's a point on the end of it. Well, so I do that with one and then two. And see, this fits that exactly, so it centers. And I'm just going to start these bolts in there. And then I just take a hammer and tap it here, and that'll transfer that punch mark over. Then I'll go drill that hole and come back and do the third hole. And that transfers them. And I have a whole little jar of these little pointed pieces that I've made for different size bolts and different lengths. So I have to remember just to drill the hole the right depth so that it fits on everything. Just got to spot drill it and change the drill and drill through. So what I've done here is I've set up 2 stops. This stop here will stop me at this line, and I have another stop over here, kind of a jury rig thing, but it'll give me that line there. And what will be left is the width of this pin that I've put in there. Lined it up with that pin. So I should have like 3/8 of an inch left. And I just go down through there, cut that out. Got the first cut done. So now all I have to do is rotate this 90 degrees and I can do the second one. Okay, and now I'll do the second. Now we'll rotate another 90 degrees and do the third one. So now we've got both ends made, and I've bolted one end on, and I put a bolt through here, and I lined up the, whatever you call these, I don't know, but they're lined up. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna spot drill these 4 things, tap it, and bolt that on. So we come over here, and that will sit on this fairly flat. Okay, now I've got these 4 spotted, and I'll get a tap drill and tap them. Now this is cast iron, so it should tap pretty easily. And you don't need any oil with cast iron. What I'm going to make is a part that suspends the generator in here. And what we need is just a short piece that fits on this little boss here and goes into this hole, and that part won't turn. It'll just be a holder for the generator itself. The thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this down to that dimension, which is 3/8 or 5/16 I guess it is, and enough so it'll just protrude through here, and then I'll put a flange, leave the flange here the right depth. Do is I'm going to set up the stops, so I'm going to turn down a 1/2 inch to 3/8. I'm going to go set my stop. This is 12L14, so it'll turn down pretty easy. That should go on there perfect. A little tight, but that's okay. I'm just going to file just a hair off of that. Make it easy to assemble. Now, the next thing we have to determine is the distance that generator has to be from the back. And fortunately, the generator is almost exactly the same length as this. so I can just measure the difference. So I measured it, and I'm coming up with about 475 for that measurement. And what I'll do is part this off and leave 475 here, and then counterbore the hole to fit over the back of the generator. We spot drill this and then drill a hole in there, and it doesn't matter how deep it goes. It's just got to be a little deeper than my final boring bar cut to fit over this boss. And the depth of the boss has to be at least 125, so an 1/8 inch. So we'll start that. So now I'm going to set up the depth of the bore, and I think I already determined that, but I better double check it here. I want to be in there about 150. I said 125, but I can go in 150. It isn't really critical how deep it is because it's going to hit against the back of the motor. But I just don't want to drill a whole bore a whole bunch so that I don't have to, so I set that up. And the critical part is making it fit good. Getting very close. Another 5,000-6,000 should do it. And that just starts in there, so I'm going to just take off another 1,000. That fits in there perfect. Drop this down in here. Hopefully it should go through there. And then I can put the generator in. Get it lined up. There it is. And there it is. And it's just flush with the front. It should be just about right. Now I got to make the one for the front, which is a little different. Okay. I've taken the other generator off of the from the engine so you can see the clutch. And it's just a piece of phenolic with like a 30-degree angle on it here. Actually, I'll measure that and I'll say. And it has a shaft that's hooked to that little generator inside, and it has a keyway, so it can slide back and forth. It only has to move probably 30 thousandths of an inch to disengage it. And it has a spring on it to create the pressure when it's released. So it's holding it in there all the time. So the next part I'm going to make is the inside, and I have to take this apart to see what I did because I can't remember. This generator is actually supported by this front shaft, and there's nothing else. All I have to make is this piece with a couple of set screws in it and the keyway, and then when it goes in here, it holds the front of the generator. I painted the ends black, and what that does is it keeps this thing from showing when you put it all together. I also wrapped some wire around this outside piece that they have. It has a little notch here, and I'll show you what that does later. It actually keeps this from rotating, so you have to put some wire or something on it to hold it in place so it doesn't rotate inside there. Okay, now we're going to make a piece for this shaft, and that's made out of a piece of 1/4-inch drill rod. I'm going to chuck that up and face the end off. I'm going to spot drill it, and that's going to be the driving shaft for the generator. that's a 1/8 reamer. We'll see if that'll start in there now. Boy, it's tight, but it goes in there perfect. Cutting that off at 1 5/8 inches. Zero it. We'll try about a 10,000th cut to start with here. Still sounds a little too fast. So there's a 1/16 inch keyway, and it just has to be long enough. The clutch only moves back and forth at probably 25 or 30 thousandths, so it doesn't have to be real long, but I just make it extra long. The next step is I'm going to drill and tap a hole right about in the middle here, and what that is just for a bolt, and it goes up against the generator inside to keep it from rotating, because when it starts it'll rotate a little bit and eventually it'll break the wires off, so you want to have it sort of solid. But it's nothing fussy, just a hole and a place for a bolt to go in there. And then just use a little bolt to go up in there. We're just putting a couple of wires on here so we can test the generator. And I didn't put red and black on because I don't know which is positive or which way it's going to be turning yet, so I just used the same color wire on both sides, and I'll determine that and mark it afterwards. Whoop. Get that one. I'm going to make a little bronze bushing for the front of the generator to push it down to the 1/4 inch shaft. This is going to be a press fit, so I got to get a little accuracy here. I want to get down to like 312.5 thousandths. Oh, that's probably going to do it right there. It starts on, but it sticks. That's a perfect fit. So now we'll drill it out, ream it. Press it in there. It's going to take the vise. Just press that bushing in there. And then we're going to ream it. Okay, tighten those and strip the ends of this. We're going to do a little test here and see what we've done. There it is. Ta-da! It works. There it is. It's all finished and it works. By the way, I can just flick this thing and it'll make them flash. See that? So only thing I have left to do is powder coat it, and I have to level the bottom off at the right depth, but I'm not going to do that until I have it lined up with the motor, because the alignment of the engine shaft and this has to be almost perfect to use that clutch. See the finished project. You can go to the video on the Meriam Abbott and it'll show more of the generator, but this is the generator here, and this is the one I just did, which you can see is almost exactly. Oh, I haven't put the little loop on top here yet, but I'll do that too. But that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and if you like the videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.